What's up, guys? It's Coach Gaglione here, and this is another edition of the Powerlifting for the People podcast. Our next guest is Onorina. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
So the people that are watching or listening, can you just tell us a little bit about just who you are and then what you got going on right now?
Okay, well, I'm Onorina Sapirito. I've been coming here since November of 2016. I started out with Fit Camp. I was very intimidated when I first walked in. I saw all the guys lifting and women lifting on this side, so I went to the other side. And I was very excited but very intrigued.
Okay.
So that's
Cool.
how
So
I got
yeah,
here.
we're gonna talk about like kind of what you kind of been doing here, like as far as training and stuff. But I want to also kind of rewind a little bit and just maybe talk about like before coming here, like what were you doing for exercise? What was like fitness like for you? Just throughout like your life, was it something that kind of came and went? Has it always been a part of your life, or what are some other things that you tried like before?
Well, many
strength
years
training?
ago in high school, I was a tennis player, so I was an athlete at that time, but I let that go. Back in 2014, I had a health scare, which just made me realize that I needed to take care of myself better. So I just started working out at a regular commercial gym, and just.
What kind of stuff were you doing? Were you kind of a little like unsure of like where to start?
I was
or?
completely unsure of where to start. I just did cardio, and then I actually hired a trainer for like 2 days a week, and started doing just a lot of some weight stuff, but nothing like this.
Yeah, sure. So when you were kind of trying to do the gym by yourself, like what was that like, and what was, I guess, your thought process about like where did you start, like initially, I guess, like what was the transition like between just kind of doing your own thing and then hiring a trainer? Like how long was like that, like kind of did that go?
It moves fairly quickly because I didn't
really
know what I was doing.
What to do.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I was afraid to embarrass myself is really
Sure,
it.
sure.
Because at my age, it's not a normal thing to see,
Yeah.
somebody, deadlifting or squatting in a commercial gym.
Sure.
So I was very embarrassed, so I immediately had a trainer help me out. But it's completely different than.
Sure. So obviously when we first started, we kind of started you off more, a little more calisthenics, some more like some lighter free weights, maybe some bands and stuff. What was, I guess, your initial, kind of impression of just kind of like going from doing that sort of training, and then like when you first like transitioned to like using a barbell, kind of what was that like, and how did that kind of transition like kind of happen?
Well, like I said, I was very intimidated when I saw this side because I was on the other side doing the calisthenics, but I was very intrigued, and I love the camaraderie that
Yeah.
this gym really offers is really a lot of what I come here for every single day, because they push you. Not only do you push me, but they push me because they're always there to support, and you don't get that in a commercial gym.
Cool. So like the team aspect of it, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But I guess a lot of women, and not just women, but maybe just like people in general, that maybe they're coming in, maybe they don't really care about like how much they're lifting, or maybe they don't really care about their performance. What made you kind of like want to try to lift a little bit heavier? You've even done a couple of competitions up until this point. So what kind of I guess made you give it a try? And what, after like your first like workout or two like with the bar, was there anything that kind of like switched in your brain that you said, I want to pursue this a little bit more? Or was there anything maybe how you felt or how your body was changing?
I mean, immediately, I'm a very competitive person, so I first of all, I'm hardest on myself. So the second I would see that I could lift, I said, oh, I could do this even better.
Yeah, you
and
saw some
better.
success, and then
Yeah.
you said like, okay, I can do this, and then kind of build on
Yeah,
that.
and I love seeing that success. 5 pounds here, 5 pounds there, and I'm thrilled. And there's certain people that I go run home to, and I'm like, look at this. I was able to lift this much and
you
squat
get
this
excited about
much,
it,
and I
yeah.
get really excited about it. So again, I was never a big person that worked out, and to me, this is, I love this. I really do.
Has the focus changed a little bit? Because like a lot of, maybe like I said initially, maybe you came in, you maybe wanted lose a couple of pounds, be a little healthier.
Mm-hmm.
how has that like focus or the priorities kind of shifted a little bit? And then you said now you're excited to like hit a new personal record and stuff like that. How has that kind of changed your mentality and like your approach to exercise, and you know, whether it be positive or negative, but like what has kind of changed for you? Like again, when you were kind of just maybe going to the gym, just doing cardio, what would you say is like the biggest difference for you, like from a mental standpoint?
Well, I've always focused on losing weight and losing inches and but now I'm focusing on just getting stronger and just being able to do the goals that I've set for myself. So, I'm not. Of course, I would like to lose weight, but that's it. My primary focus is just to get stronger and toner and healthier. So
so not necessarily worried about the scale as much. You still want to obviously, drop the body fat,
right.
Be healthier, but now also you have those performance goals. And I think what's great sometimes too about when you're doing strength training or whether it be more specifically powerlifting, it can shift your focus a little bit away from the scale a little bit, because sometimes it does take a long time for the scale to move, and it does take a long time for your body to change. And it can give you a little bit of a different focus and help you stay committed, and you could be excited about other things. So maybe the scale hasn't moved too much in a couple of weeks, but you've added 5 pounds to your lift, so you've added one more rep, and it gives you some different things to focus on, some different goals. And I know you've done taking up another notch. Nothing too crazy, but you've done some like local competitions here. What was that experience like for you, and then what made you decide that you wanted to do that?
Well, it was exhilarating. It really was. I walked in here that day and I thought I was going to throw up, but it was so nerve-wracking. But I was so proud of myself that I did it. Again, I've never worked out in my life, and to go from a commercial gym to competing and being able to do what I set myself to do. I'm looking forward to adding more competitions this year, and just setting more goals for myself.
Was it for the people that haven't competed and they're listening and maybe they're on the fence of competing, what would you say is maybe some of the main differences as far as like how it felt the day of, and then hitting some personal records in the competition versus just kind of doing it in the gym? Like what would you say the differences are, and what would you say are some of the benefits of actually doing the competition?
The benefits are that you're striving for a goal, and you're striving for something to finalize and finally do what you say you're going to do. The day of, it's very intense. There's a lot of people around, and you're doing a lot of warm-ups, and then you're ready to go. But back to the whole teamwork and the camaraderie. I mean, the people are all there screaming your name and yelling for you to be able to do that. And the excitement and the energy in the room just makes you be able to do it. Just like they say, a mother with a child, they have all that power. Yeah, you get that power, and it's amazing. Yeah,
I think you can definitely feed off the energy. Sometimes people don't always know what to do with that extra energy, and it can be, like you said, very nerve-wracking. But if you can kind of use that energy to your advantage, sometimes you can surprise yourself on how much you could actually do in front of a crowd or in like those situations. And I think it's kind of cool. It gives you a deadline, it gives you something to shoot for. And I'm sure like you felt signing up for that contest the weeks leading up to the meet, I'm sure you want to be more consistent, you want to push harder.
Yeah.
So I think all those things are like kind of huge factors. Even if you're not looking to be super competitive, it allows you to be competitive for yourself, and it just allows your results to be that much better, and just gives you something to focus on. Because I think we all go through those ruts. Sometimes we just don't really feel like going to the gym. Why am I doing this? And it gives you something to show up for.
Yes.
And I think that's huge as we get older, as we have more responsibilities. So I definitely want to talk to see your mom. You got other responsibilities.
Yes.
What is it like, just day to day? Like obviously you don't always have a ton of time. Sometimes you're training here late at night.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have maybe to like the moms out there, or just maybe they're busy adults watching, as far as getting their training in? Like what advice could you give them?
Well, I never made time for myself, and now I do. I work full time. I don't get out of work till 5, 6 o'clock at night, and I've learned to prepare what I'm going to make as a meal for the family before I leave to come here. And I don't deviate from that. Everybody's like, well, aren't you going to?
You have a routine, and
yeah. I have people. My husband's like, every day my husband's like, well, you're not going to sit down and eat? I'm like, I can't eat before I train. So I'll eat later. So that's what I'll end up doing, usually. But, and then I go home and then I'll have the meal that's waiting for me that I cooked 2 hours before, but that's just how I have to do it.
Yeah, so you're kind of, everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different. So I think a lot of times it just comes down to, like you said, I think setting time for yourself. So you're blocking out some time. This is when I'm going to train. This is my time. Because I think a lot of times people, and again, as a coach, I totally understand a lot of times, I'm always putting others before myself, just the nature of my profession and my job. I think if you're a parent watching, that's something like really that you do often, and it just out of being a nature of a good parent. But my business coach always says, like, you need to put your own mask on first, like what they say when the plane's going down, you need to put your own mask on first. And that's going to allow you, if you're not helping yourself, you're not going to be able to help others around you the best. If you're not healthy, if you're not doing the things that you need to take care of yourself, and that's been something I've had to learn over the years. So the past year or two, I've been definitely really focused on my health as well. So I think that those are some really, really good points. Some other people, maybe they're listening, maybe they're older as well. I know that you've had some different injuries to your shoulder and stuff. You said you were a tennis player. Maybe they're afraid of hurting themselves. What advice would you give them, and maybe what are some things that we've kind of done to help kind of mitigate some of that stuff, or
Well, yeah, I have a couple of injuries. I had a rotator cuff surgery on my right shoulder. I have a partial tear on my left shoulder. But what you have done was teach me how to properly set myself up, especially in bench, because that's always my weakness. But if I properly set myself up, I don't feel that pain in my shoulder, and my shoulder holds off. I also have no ACL and a torn meniscus in my right knee, but I know when I can't do box jumps, but I can do other kind of squat. I can do squats without any pain or any problems. So it's all, it's all relative to your injury, but you just have to know how to handle those injuries.
Yeah, I think that's big, and I think what's really cool about, in the case of powerlifting, we have some people in here that are in their 50s and their 60s that are doing this. What they have, and as far as from a range of motion standpoint, from what they own, what can they kind of control just from a motor skill learning, and those things get better over time. The skills can get better over time, and also like what you can tolerate. So sometimes some people, you can see sometimes, okay, you're just gonna maybe squat with the kettlebells today, or you're just gonna belt squat, or you could use a heavier bar, you're gonna use less weight, you're gonna use more weight. Maybe we're gonna cut your range of motion down. Everyone's gonna be a little bit different, but there's usually some load, range of motion, and some variation that you could handle in a squat, a press, and a pull, deadlift variation. So there is definitely something for everyone. My dad, he's 66. He's been coming, knock on wood, hopefully will continue. He's starting off with the first week he started off with his body weight to a high box, and then the second week now he did like a 26-pound kettlebell, which is nothing like earth-shattering, but just those small progressions week to week, and you just keep kind of building on that. And I think it's really important with social media and with all these things that we don't always compare ourselves to like these elite 1% people, because a lot of times the videos we're watching are like the best of the best, and it's not always fair, like, whether it be from a genetic standpoint or just this person's been doing this for 10 years, and this is like all they kind of focus on. So yeah, and like I said, you're a family person, you're a mother, you have all these other responsibilities, so you don't have to have these really crazy goals of maybe, for you, like, approaching a 300-pound deadlift is a really, would be an awesome goal. You don't have to worry about like pulling 400 or 500 pounds like some of these girls are, which is great. But so I think that's really cool. If someone was like listening to this and they were maybe on the fence of like trying strength training or trying powerlifting, what's some advice you can give them, and what would be a good place to start?
Oh, this place would be a good place to start. I think anybody should be able to
So
get it within themselves.
So as far as with the coaching, so obviously if someone's local, you guys, will include like links. The other thing I wanted to mention too as well, I got sidetracked before we get into that. You mentioned about competing and the benefits of competing. So we host several contests throughout the year. We host one in June. We host deadlift contest in February. And then we have a youth and novice meet in December, which will include links in the description below. If you are local, it's the New York area. It's great because even though there's maybe what you would consider a lot of people, it was still a small
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely a
gathering
small
versus what you see some of these other meets might be 50, 60, 80, 100, 120 lifters over the course of 2 days. A lot of times our meets might meet 20 people, 30 people.
Yeah.
It's literally a backyard meet, and we're going to help if you get something wrong. We're going to tell you like what you did wrong. We're going to make sure you're getting the commands correct, you're understanding the rules. It's a much lower pressure environment,
Yes.
and we want to make sure that everyone has a great first experience in powerlifting because we want them to continue on. That's kind of our goal. We're not trying to a lot of times with the meets, sometimes we're breaking even and stuff. Of course, we don't want to lose money on it, but the main goal with the meets is really just to expose more people to the sport. And just have everyone have a great first experience. So if you aren't maybe on the fence competing and you want something like a lower level kind of contest to do, we do offer those throughout the year. And the next one will be in December. Our youth and novice meet, I think it's December, the second week in December, but we'll include the links in the description.
December 8th.
December 8th. Okay, there we go. So
I highly
thanks.
recommend it. I definitely enjoyed it last year, and I'm looking forward to it again
Cool.
this year.
So yeah, it's a great opportunity to just kind of get your feet wet and just kind of expose. And then depending on if you want to be more competitive, there's other federations and there's other meets you could do. But again, our kind of goal, the goal of powerlifting for the people is about exposing strength training and becoming stronger to everybody, not just the elite athlete, not just the moms, not just everybody in between, because we really believe everyone possesses the ability to get stronger and everyone can have some sort of benefit for strength training no matter what their goal is. So you talked about obviously here. So what are some of the advantages of coaching, and what are some of the things that we've been doing here that you feel has been really beneficial for you to keep you on track and just kind of keep you healthy and keep you toward your goals? What are some things that people should be looking for, and what are some things that you've kind of experienced here?
I definitely, not rushing into something, and everybody wants to go and pull, that 300 deadlift right away.
Yeah.
And I still get put into that bubble sometimes because I'm like, no, I want to do the best I can. But you have to follow the program, and that's what you put together is a great program on working your way slowly up to those goals.
Yeah.
and not pushing your body where it shouldn't be pushed. And that's why I highly recommend. I see people at these commercial gyms doing, because I've been here, I see them doing the wrong way of everything, and nobody's stopping them, and they can just injure themselves.
Tough to watch sometimes.
It is. Yeah. It is. So the aspect of having that controlled environment where you can tell us how we're supposed to do something correctly, and how much of a weight or how heavy of a weight. What's
appropriate for the intent of the day, what's appropriate for your level, and then and of course we have programs set in place, but then also how you feeling today, maybe your shoulders acting up.
Yeah.
And then we lighten the weight on the bench or whatever, or maybe your lower back's a little tighter, so we go a little lighter, or hey, I feel really good today, so we can push a little bit more. But or maybe hey, next week's gonna be really heavy, so even though you want to push this week, let's kind of save it for next week when it really counts. When we're doing a testing week, or we're doing a heavy triple or something like that, heavy double. So I think that's good. Any other kind of words of advice for people starting out? You said it could be really intimidating starting out. So what are maybe some maybe myths or something like that? What's something they should look at?
The myth is not all big guys are powerlifters because there's a lot of different body shapes and a lot of different people, men, women, older, younger, that it amazes me what they're capable of doing. So I think that myth needs to go away. I always thought a bodybuilder or powerlifter was a big muscular person and could only be guys, and it's not. So I think that myth needs to go away. But I think the intimidating factor, people just need to get comfortable with walking in and being able to say hello, and from that step,
cool.
Goes forward.
So a couple of resources for people watching, because obviously, maybe you're listening or watching, you may not be in the New York area. So powerliftingwatch.com is, they have a powerlifting gyms page, and we'll include some links in there as well if you're looking for a powerlifting gym to learn from people. I think when you're looking for a coach, things like that, you're looking for a gym, I think it's important to, learn from the people that have kind of been there and ask some people that maybe have worked with this person before. And then there's nothing wrong with just doing a trial, do a test run, see what it's about. I think oftentimes, sometimes, when it comes to the powerlifting, people, a lot of times, the biggest, strongest people are usually the most helpful.
Right.
And they could be, and if you're in a situation where maybe you don't really jive with the group, you could always, find someone else. There's also online coaching options. We offer online coaching as well. If you can't, there are some times where maybe you're in like a, situation where there's nothing really local, it doesn't really fit your schedule, and you could do like a distance coaching option as well. But I do think there's a lot of power like in the team, and there's a lot of power in training with the group. So I think that's always, even if like I said, sometimes I turn people away because I recommend, hey, this so-and-so group's in your area, this would be a better fit. I always say try to find some groups in your area first, and then online coaching is a good second option if that doesn't really work for your schedule or what your current situation is. But I think those a lot of great points. I think don't be afraid to try it out. Don't be afraid to start. I think progress slowly over time. Focus on your technique, and all that. And then even if you're a busy mom or a parent, there's always something you could do. Yep. There's always something, and I think making time for yourself, I think that's really something that rang home with me, is you got to put your own mask on first, so I think that was great. So I think that's basically it. This is anything else you want to, any last words to wrap up? Yeah, I think that was good.
I highly recommend it.
Okay, awesome. We appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
You've been doing fantastic. We keep up the good work. We're looking forward to see more of your progress in the future.
Me too.
If this podcast helped you, please give it a 5-star review. It helps other people find us. Please subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.